Inside the Birds is back. What's up, everybody? Geoff Mosher, Adam Caplan here. It is Sunday night after the Super Bowl. Adam and I are going to do a couple of things. We're going to recap the Super Bowl, give our thoughts on it. We're going to get into a little bit of the Eagles coaching staff situation. Adam has some updates on that. And we'll talk, Adam, interestingly, about the ties between the Eagles and the Chiefs, because a lot of people say, well, Andy Reid, yes, and Brett Veach, the GM, yeah, they came from the Eagles, but there are some other people involved in both teams that I think are significant, one who a lot of people don't know. So we'll talk about that. So we got a lot to go through. I want to start just with the Super Bowl. It just ended about an hour ago. By the way, I wrote down our predictions, and we were pretty darn close right there. Both picked the Chiefs to win. I had 31-26, so I had the Chiefs exact score pretty good. You had Chiefs 28, Niners 24, and that's the kind of game it was. It was a very. I don't think both teams played their best, but you expect that a little bit in the Super Bowl when you're feeling yourselves out for a little bit there.
Yeah, it was not a clean game. It was not even remotely close to the best Super Bowl. I mean, it was an okay game.
Just okay.
Mahomes, I give him credit. He was very poor his first three quarters. His accuracy was just off.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he was tight, Geoff. The weather was not a factor at all. The rain, I was, in Miami through Saturday. The rain stopped late Saturday evening. There's no rain on Sunday.
Right.
I don't know what the problem was. He was just tight, and he was just off. But I give him credit. He's kind of like Jason Friday 13th. Just when you think you have him down, he comes back. I mean, the throw to Tyreek Hill, though, it was way. It took forever. It seemed like it was a pop fly, but it got down there. Tyreek Hill's amazing. Guy's amazing. He had 16 targets, by the way.
Yeah.
And the thing about, Geoff, the cover three, when you're thrown against it, the reason why cover three works and why so many teams play it. Now, the Niners are playing Seattle's cover three. The Eagles play a different cover three, but nevertheless, it's played to take away the deep ball. And my God, boy, did they take away the deep ball tonight. I mean, it's just it's incredible. But I give Sammy Watkins credit. He's going to be taking a pay cut if he wants to return. That's almost certain. But, man, he came up big. He did it. You know what Watkins did, what I absolutely love, which Eagle receivers did not do at all this season for the most part? He came back to the football.
Yes, sir.
That's your job. It's something you and I, we neglected to talk about enough. All the problems Eagles receivers had. That is so important when the pocket breaks down to help your quarterback. I'm going to say minimum of 2 out of his 5 catches were where he came back to the football.
Yeah, I thought and you mentioned Tyreek Hill. To be honest with you, I thought Tyreek Hill should have been the MVP of the Super Bowl. Damian Williams had 100 yards. He had 2 touchdowns.
Yes, him. Come on, man.
Well, here's why I wouldn't say Damian, why I would have said Tyreek Hill. Damian had a 5-yard touchdown run, which was catch, I'm sorry, which it was more of the way Andy designed it. It was pretty easy walk-in for him. Well, I shouldn't say that. He had a tiptoe to the sideline, but he got in there, and then he obviously had the game-sealing touchdown after the Chiefs had already gone ahead. But Tyreek Hill had 100 yards receiving. You mentioned the 16 targets, and he also drew, in my opinion, the most important pass interference call of the game. I mean, it completely changed the trajectory of the game and allowed the Chiefs, who were down to third down and the time ticking out, to stay alive. And I just thought he made every big catch. He gave Richard Sherman a lot of trouble. So even though he didn't have the touchdowns per se, the touchdowns for the Chiefs came a little bit easier because they were mostly in the red zone, right? Except for the last Damian Williams run. But to get back from down 20-10, if they didn't have Tyreek Hill, I don't think they would have won.
Well, yeah, Mecole Hardman is his backup. But the fact of the matter is, Damian Williams was so effective. I mean, he really was. He had the touchdown to seal it, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Also had a touchdown catch. Were very versatile. To me, if I was voting for it, I would have gone Williams, probably Hill 2 and Mahomes 3. Of course, Mahomes won it.
Right.
Quarterbacks always seem to win it. I mean, it's rare for them, not to win it. But this was an interesting game where this is the thing with Mahomes now, Geoff. In one of his worst games for 3 quarters, he still found a way to win. And this is just remarkable, the relentlessness of this Chief offense. I don't know what to tell you. If you're a team that's got to play them, it's going to be real tough because you think you got him contained, and then you don't. And that's the backbreaker, which kills defensive coordinators. It just bothers them. I'm sure that Robert Saleh won't sleep very well tonight.
No, it's going to be tough for him. That was, I mean, everybody's going to have nightmares of Mahomes at some point in this league by the time his career is said and done. And to correct myself, by the way, it was 3rd and 15 that the Chiefs were facing, and that's when Tyreek Hill caught a 44-yard. It was Kelsey who drew a pass interference later on the drive, but it was a 44-yard catch that was really important to them, moving the chains on that. Because remember, they were at 2nd 15. And then there was a play. It was Mahomes to Tyreek Hill, and the play was reversed. And then it became 3rd and 15, and that's when he hit him for 44 yards. It was nice for Mahomes to get out of the pocket, but a great catch by Hill. And I just thought that kind of set the tone for the comeback. But again, both teams kind of struggled and do it. One thing about the 49ers, right? Their running game is their bread and butter. And in the first half, I thought, you know what? It seems like their best runs have come from Deebo Samuel on reverses or anything.
I know, and that's not good.
That's not a good situation for them, right? And that's where I thought maybe they were struggling.
Yeah, no, their run game was not special, not even close to being special. They had Coleman did a good job. He had a 17-yard run when he was on the field, but
right.
Mostert had a couple of really nice runs, but nothing special. The thing is, they didn't dominate in the run game like they had previously.
Mm-hmm.
When Mostert went absolutely off in the championship game against the Packers, where he absolutely embarrassed them. But overall, yeah, and the thing they're going to have to do, they're going to have to address the receiver position. They need speed badly downfield. They don't have it. That if you don't have speed at the wide receiver position, you cannot win.
I agree.
It's a problem. It's a real problem. I love Deebo Samuel. He's more of a 2 to me, or a 2+. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's a true number 1. Now, the thing that Kyle Shanahan does, I know people are killing him again for the play calling, but he's incredible at creating space. They're a space team. They're a movement team. No team runs more pre-snap movement than the Niners.
Right.
He creates by formation variation. When they don't have that going, they're in major trouble because they lack enough playmakers.
Yeah, and before we get to Andy, because I know we were both going to talk about him a lot, I agree with you on that. I thought you look at the way they're constructed, San Francisco, I feel like that whole offense is Kyle Shanahan. You talk about the Chiefs and you talk Andy and how wonderful it is, but you also see Patrick Mahomes and Hill and Kelsey. They have so many weapons. The Chiefs rely so much on what Shanahan does in the week leading up, and then also all that pre-snap. And like they have a fullback who almost was going to be the MVP of the Super Bowl, right?
First half.
He doesn't always block somebody. Like you think fullback, but his job is almost misdirection all the time. It's the ball sometimes goes in the opposite way of the fullback, which is complete antithesis of what the fullback used to be. He's just that
right. Kyle Juszczyk. Yeah, Juice is an interesting football player, really is. I remember talking to Kyle 2 years ago at training camp, and he thought he'd get 30 to 40 catches, but they just didn't. They wound up not getting the ball hardly at all.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I'll mention one guy if there's any Niner fans listening to us right now. The inability to develop Marquise Goodwin, who's one of the fastest receivers in the league, who's on injury reserve.
Mm-hmm.
He just never became the player they thought he would be. He was their speed receiver,
right,
and it just never worked out. Unfortunately,
due to Pettis, right? Pettis was either
he hasn't played in 6 weeks. He's been active, but they haven't used him.
Right.
That guy was a second-round pick. He's not a speed receiver. He's a playmaker. But you're right. That not developing. That's a great point. He is not developed. That they missed on him. I mean, he hasn't done anything in 2 years, really. Very little.
I actually thought he was a speeder. Maybe I was wrong. I thought he was one of those Washington guys who returned kicks for touchdowns and ran.
He's not a low 4.4s, high 4.3s guys. But look, bottom line is, Niners want to go deep. They got to. Well, they just did this year, but if they want to do it again, they need speed because it becomes think about it. As you said, if their formation stuff doesn't get you, you're probably going to beat them because I think it was Greg Cosell told me this. Mm-hmm. Rarely do you see them ask a guy to run a normal route tree. Okay, let's go run a 9 route. You're not going to ask him to do that. You're going to create space for him to get open. That's really what they do with deception.
Mm-hmm. Now, one beef I have with Shanahan, right? End of the first half, It's 10-10.
I know.
He's got all of his timeouts. The ball coming back, and he does not use any of them
Foolish.
to conserve time and then try to get some extra points. I was shocked by that. I almost never see that
Bad
in
coaching.
the NFL anymore.
Bad.
Especially by a guy who's considered an offensive genius. I was shocked by that. It almost signaled to me that he didn't have faith in Jimmy G with maybe 50, 55, 60 seconds to try to do something there. I was surprised.
Yeah, 100% agree. The only thing I would say is you don't have to be an offensive coach and know how to use your timeouts.
Well,
and he blew it. It did. I'm a huge Kyle Shanahan fan, but he did not have a good game. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. He just didn't have a good game. He needs to learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
He said after the game that he expected all his key players to be back, and that may or may not be true. I mean, they have to get through their caps. They have a little bit of an interesting cap situation, but the Niners had a great year, no question. I had them at 10-6. They were way better than I expected. Their defense is terrific. And I don't blame Robert Saleh. What can you do? They did it. They had a great game plan. They executed the hell out of it for 3 quarters.
Mm-hmm.
Mahomes is one of the most special quarterbacks in NFL history. He just completed, Jeff, his 2nd season as a starter. It's ridiculous.
Can you imagine if the Chiefs had won the coin toss last year against the Patriots and Pat Mahomes had the ball first in overtime?
Yeah, stupid overtime rules, by the way. I hated that. I can't believe you brought that up because I'm still pissed off about that. I love football, and I remember thinking I hate these damn rules. We got cheated as fans. We all love the game,
right?
And but look,
Andy Reid have 2 Super Bowls now. If that were the case, if they had
yes, you're right. You're right. They could have had 2 Super Bowls, but Andy Reid, thank God he got this one. I know what was going to happen if they lost, and he can't win the big one. Well, you know what? He's going to he'll get a minimum of 2 Super Bowl wins. You might get more. It goes to show you, as long as you're dominant on one side of the football, you can win. You don't have to be dominant on defense to win. You just got to be really damn good on one side of the football, and they are special on offense. And Andy's ability to call plays, Jeff, is as good as Kyle Shanahan is. I mean, you could argue that Andy right now is the NFL's best play caller.
No doubt about it. I feel good for him. I know it was kind of a polarizing topic in Philly leading up, but not really as much as maybe sports radio wanted you to think. I think 75% of the city was behind Andy, and there's always the 25% contrarian. He didn't win it here, but most of the reaction I've seen is people very happy for Andy. And I think, me personally, not just am I happy for him, but I would have said he's a Hall of Fame coach, regardless of win or lose a Super Bowl. He's definitely cemented his status as a Hall of Fame coach. And look, people are asking me, he could coach 6 or 7 or 8 more years and wind up getting 2 or 3 or more of these things.
That's what I mean. I laughed at the people who were asking me this week, would Andy retire? Are you out of your bleeping mind? Come on, folks. Just think. Here's why. Okay, now but here's why people wondered. Now it's kind of like when John Elway got his Super Bowl. Now he was beat up physically. He got 2. He got his. Did he get 2 or 1? I know he got 2 of them.
He got 2.
Okay, but he walked off as a champion. So people are like, hey, maybe he could walk as a champion. But folks, Geoff just said it, and here's why Geoff's right. This is all Andy Reid knows. He's a coach. What's he going to do? What's he going to do if he doesn't coach? He's only 61.
Also not that old, yeah. He's only 61.
Yeah, I mean, come on, yeah. So I get the question, but he's got a chance to be super duper special with his quarterback. And guys like Andy Reid live to coach these type of quarterbacks. How the hell can you walk away from Mahomes? No,
you can't.
No.
You can't. And listen, we have to appreciate something Andy and the Chiefs have done since he took over, and that's their scouting department. And it's headed by Brett Veach, their GM, who was Andy Reid's intern, a University of Delaware football standout who left an administration job in their UD's football program to take this intern job for Andy Reid. And then the next thing you know, he's a scout, and then he's working his way up, and then he becomes GM of the Chiefs. But you look at a lot of the homegrown talent on the Chiefs, and one guy who played really well in this game, and it's not going to be talked about a lot because he's a defensive lineman, but Chris Jones, who I believe was a 2nd or 3rd round pick out of Mississippi State.
Yeah, second.
Yeah. He was dominant. He must have batted 3 or 4 balls down on 3rd down, and that was key to why the Chiefs were so much better on defense late in the 3rd and the 4th quarter. Chris Jones, hell of a game for that guy.
And by the way, that is something that is taught. If you can't, I thought that Troy Aikman made a very good point. If you can't get your rush, get your damn hands up. And that's something, that the teams that are coached well with their defensive line coaches and the coordinators, they do this more, and this is something I don't have stats in front of me on. This is an Eagles show that we do here. I don't have the Eagles stats on this, but their D-line's got to do a good job here. And by the way, it's funny. I had counted 15 former players, coaches, executives.
15.
I'm now up. Ready for this? I'm up to 17. I found 2 more people. I forgot Chris Shea. Remember Chris Shea was with the Eagles?
Yeah.
He was in the front office. I didn't know he was with Kansas City. I had no idea.
He was actually brought in under Chip. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, oh my God, it's unbelievable. And
Dave Taub, the special teams coordinator, who was he was here for a a little bit, right?
Yeah, 3 years. Dave Taub was Dave Taub.
Right. It's left guard.
Yeah, how about this? He gets 2 Super Bowls. And I ran. Oh, here's a little nugget. I didn't know until I ran into him. I ran into Mike Bradway.
Yep.
Terry Bradway's son was a scout for the Eagles.
Yeah. He
gets his 2nd Super Bowl in 3 years. His last year was 17 with the Eagles, so he gets another ring. Unbelievable.
Right. And so I'm going to bring it back to what I said at the beginning. All of this is made possible by one particular person. He is the catalyst to everything that's happened for the Chiefs over the last few years. And a lot of people, A, don't know his name, and B, don't know that he has attachment to the Eagles. When the Eagles decided to move on from Andy Reid, and I'm sure you know this too, and fire him, remember, there were a lot of firings. The Dolphins had fired their coach. The Chargers had fired their coach. I think the Bears, there were about 5 or 6 Giants, right, were changing coaches. But Andy quickly got a job in Kansas City. The reason why the Chiefs did a full court press on Andy Reid, who was, remember, a retread when everybody was going young, was because the president of that organization, Mark Donovan, is a guy who was in the Eagles front office. You know him. He was on the business side for the Eagles for many years. He went out there and became the president of the Chiefs. So like the Joe Banner or the Don Smolinski of the Chiefs. And as soon as Andy got fired, I was told that Mark Donovan gathered the masses and said, we are putting a full court press on for Andy Reid. And then everybody knows they interviewed, I think, in the airport. And it was very quick that happened. But Mark Donovan's a big reason for why Andy Reid quickly found a job in Kansas City, and then, as we know, brought to a lot of Kansas City folks with him. Philly folks with him, including Rick Burkholder. We have to mention him, one of the most notorious trainers in the league. He's always on camera. Congratulations to Rick. We love him. He's a great guy. But Mark Donovan is a guy. A lot of people, Eagles fans, you show them a picture, they would not know who he was.
Well, here's the crazy thing: Mark was at Kansas City before Andy. He just
right. That's what I'm saying. He was already there.
Yeah, which most people don't realize. It is really remarkable. And let's not forget the Cardinals were after Andy Reid. Who were there? There had to be another team, right?
I remember Arizona. I don't remember anybody else.
Yeah, okay. But nevertheless, of course, this is during the Chip Kelly race. Chip Kelly and Andy Reid. It's really remarkable how one team got it right and Chip didn't. Chip never became what the Eagles thought he would be. But overall, this is a remarkable story here. A perseverance by Andy Reid. And, oh, by the way, another little nugget, which is really another special part of this thing. Steve Spagnuolo, okay? He gets fired by the Giants. And he had been fired by 2 teams, the Saints and the Giants. I talked to Spags a year ago, just over a year ago, at a Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame dinner. I think that it was either that or the Otho Davis dinner. I can't remember. But nevertheless, Spags told me he wanted to get into coaching. Andy Reid had to fire Bob Sutton, and he hired Spags. Spags is only here 1 season. He gets a ring. It's really remarkable.
Yeah, you know what it reminds me, too, of when he went to the Giants and when he won a Super Bowl there, his defense started off very poorly.
First half, yeah.
And then they really turned it around over the second half of the season. Same thing here. The Chiefs had some struggles defensively for the first half of the season.
Against the run.
End of the year. Yeah, against the run. And by the end of the year, they really came through. So, hey, great for Andy, great for the Chiefs. I still think, before all is said and done, you and I both had the same Super Bowl prediction this year. Chiefs versus Eagles, right?
Ready for this?
Think before it's done, we might see that.
Okay, I'm 4-0 on everything. So I only like one prop, and I got lucky. I had Jimmy G over 29 attempts.
That's good. Yeah,
I had the under. Wait, what was the over under?
The total was 54.5 last I looked.
Okay, so I technically got it right. The over under. Okay, so I didn't get Damian Williams right as the MVP. I looked for a good number. But come on, dude, he should have gotten the MVP, folks. Come on, help me out here, will you? He should have got the MVP.
Now I know why you're so dead set on this.
Yeah, but I'll tell you though, it was I'm so happy for my friends who are Chief fans. After everything they've been through, 50 years, Marty Schottenheimer, the heartache, the absolute heartache. Dick Vermeil comes in, another Eagle tie, comes out of a little bit of a very quick retirement, does a great job, and then just through everything they've been through, Todd Haley, which was a disaster.
Yep.
And then it gets done with Andy Reid. And one more thing before we move on to Eagle stuff. You have no idea how many people told him to take a year off, including Joe Banner, he's still very close with Andy, by the way. And Joe said on the record, when he was on WIP this week, he was one of the people who told him to take a year off, get his mind right. And he said, I'm just a coach. What's he going to do? Sit at home and
what he does.
make sandwiches all day? He's going to coach.
I think it would more like sit at home and eat sandwiches all day. But no.
Yeah, right, exactly.
That somebody else makes for him.
Yes.
No, but no, I think that's not the way Andy's. We learned that when Andy coached the day or after his son passed away from an overdose, that this is just what this guy does, and he's probably going to do it for several more years, and we'll see what happens. All right, we're going to move on to there. First, I want to say, if anybody's noticing, our listeners, any difference in the sound, right, it's because I'm using a new microphone that Adam also has. He's going to have his hooked up and ready to go by the next podcast. So if you're liking what you're hearing from at least my side of the sound, Adam will have his. And, as part of our appreciation to listeners, we're able to have a successful podcast. We're able to make a little money and reinvest it in better equipment. I've told our listeners that for quite a while. So
it's literally going right.
To be really good.
Right, just right. It's literally going all into equipment. We have these really cool podcast mics. They look like old school mics. It's actually pretty cool. Jeff's using his. I'll have mine for our show when we tape it Wednesday. And we're going to be announcing some stuff with the next 2 months about some live shows that we're going to do. Really excited about that, which we just couldn't get done because of the timeliness of it during the season. But we're going to be doing that in the off season, and we're going to have some special shows coming up. I'll be at the Combine. Hopefully Geoff will join me. We'll see about that. But we've got free agency stuff coming later in February. So we've got a lot of great content coming for you.
Yep, we do. A lot of good things on the horizon. As you mentioned, content. We're going to get involved in some written content soon. So we will continue to kind of keep everybody updated as it goes along. All right, the second thing I want to do before we get into some of the coaching situation for the Eagles is pause for a word from our sponsors. Hey, it's Geoff Mosher. Adam Caplan and I love using Anchor for our Inside the Birds podcast every week. It's so user-friendly, anyone can create their own podcast, and you should too. Just download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Anchor gives you everything you need to start your own podcast from your phone or computer. Its creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast for a professional sound, and Anchor will distribute your podcast for you to Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and so many other platforms. It can be heard by everyone, just like Inside the Birds. You can also make money from your pod with no minimum listenership. What are you waiting for? Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to create your podcast today. Hey, it's Geoff Mosher. Are you interested in money? Yep, I thought so. Well, on the Talk Money with Mesh Lakhani podcast, Mesh will follow paper trails, chat with experts, and break down complex ideas to bring clarity to the mystical financial phenomena and help listeners uncover the story behind their money. Each of these compelling stories will hit a broad range of subjects ranging from buying Bitcoin, dealing with student debt, and everything in between. So if you're interested in money, and I know you are, check out the Talk Money with Mesh Lakhani podcast on Anchor. All right, Adam, the big news from an Eagles standpoint, well, two things. One, you have an update on the wide receiver coach situation, but before we talk about that, the offensive coordinator, it seems like Matt LaFleur is out. Adam Schefter reported that he had gotten a contract extension and that he has no plans of leaving. So that kind of leaves Mike McDaniel, the run game coordinator, as someone that the Eagles might be talking to. It certainly seems that they've waited this long to at least get another opinion and see if this guy could fit what they're looking for.
That's a reasonable expectation. My friend Tim McManus reported for ESPN.com that they did interview Press Taylor. I could tell you that Press Taylor is way down their list of guys they'd want to be the offensive coordinator. I would not be surprised. I'd be shocked if he's the offensive coordinator. If he is, that means they didn't get anyone they wanted. I'm trying not to put the guy down. I mean, that's, I know they like him.
Yeah.
But that's not at the start of the process what their thought process was. It just, I'm hoping for their sake that they get the guy that they want, whether was it Mike McDaniel's the guy who didn't get it? Mike LaFleur's brother got the extension, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, Mike LaFleur got the extension. So Mike McDaniel would be the guy that would be a candidate for the Eagles if they're waiting to talk to him.
All right. Someone sent me a quote, and I'm assuming this is legitimate, so I doubt they're going to be able to get McDaniel. Mm-hmm. What Kyle Shanahan was asked over last year was about assistants, and he said, I'm paraphrasing. He said something like, I don't have it in front of me, but I read it a couple days ago. I expect my assistants to honor their contracts, which means you're not going anywhere until your contract's up.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know who else. Yes, sure. Yeah, the rule is unless it's for a head coaching candidate, they could block anyone they want.
That's right.
This has been the norm, just so you know, folks. This is the norm around the National Football League. More often than not, coaches get blocked. So, Geoff, the Bengals have done this for years. So what happens is Mike Brown, the owner, and he has personnel control, he believes, like his father did, the great Paul Brown, Hall of Famer, that if you're on a contract, we don't let you leave. That's just what he I don't think they've ever let anyone out under contract. That's crazy, but so I don't know that Kyle Shanahan, who will make the call, Geoff, would let his assistants out. So to me, the offense coordinator, if it's not McDaniel, I mean, it could have to be Press Taylor, and believe me, he's so far on the list of what they wanted that would be a significant compromise candidate.
And then, of course, they would also have to find a new quarterbacks coach if that were the case. And
that's right. Yeah,
they would say that was their plan all along, but that wouldn't be. I guess we'll just have to see in the next few days, because as we know, we expect them to make an announcement probably this week at the end.
Oh, it will be. Yeah. It could literally come if they can't interview McDaniel. I mean, it could come Wednesday. It could. Honestly, they should have every single interview done by now, other than 49ers Chiefs coaches, if they want to interview any of them.
Right.
Kafka's not going to be
in Miami to interview him if they want, or
yeah, sure, that's a good point. Yeah, but Monday morning. Yeah, because Kafka's not going anywhere, as we talked about 2 weeks ago, based on what I was told. So they're kind of stuck here. This process that's taken seemingly forever. I know they wanted to be thorough, which is admirable, but man, they should have had their guy by now. But we'll see.
All right, Abbas for wide receivers coach. There was a report from Tim McManus, ESPN.com, a friend of ours, who said that Aaron Moorhead could be on their radar.
He is. I could tell Geoff. I'm actually told that he's a guy they've a lot of interest in. I remember Aaron as a Super Bowl winner with the Colts from 2009. Ironically, the Super Bowl in Miami when it rained. He was number 85, if you recall. He was like their fourth receiver, special teamer. Smart guy, a lot of energy. He's been the Vanderbilt receivers coach, I think, for a couple of years. He previously coached at Stanford, but he's never coached in the National Football League yet, but he was a longtime player. Obviously, they've got a recommendation. I have no idea how they're finding these guys. It's like when they got the guy from USC, Graham Harrell.
Yeah.
I don't know how they got that. I need to find out. I don't know if it was Andrew Berry, by the way. Oh, Andrew Berry, 5-year deal. I'm told he's got full personnel control, Geoff. He doesn't have just the 53. He's got free agency in the draft. That's a heck of a deal for Andrew Berry.
Wow, we'll see how that works out for the Browns. Back to the offensive wide receiver coach would be Aaron Moorhead. That would be interesting only because of the experience factor, right? I mean, they had Gunter Brewer for a year. He was only a college coach. Then they moved on. Then they promote Carson Walsh. He has no NFL experience, not much experience in general. They move on. Moorhead at least played in the NFL, and that's a feather in the cap there. But again, no NFL coaching experience. Yeah,
and the thing now, Walt should never run his own room. This is something that's extremely important when you evaluate coaches. I like that he's a former NFL coach. See, here's what one source told me: Carson Walsh might be 5'8", not imposing, very small guy, not imposing at all. It's when you're coaching a position like that, that's not a good thing. When you've never run your own room. You got to have a presence. He didn't have any presence. Aaron Moorhead does. Aaron Moorhead's tall, if I recall. He might be 6'3" or 6'4". It's not. It's not. We'll see. I'm not sure they have other guys on their list. I'm not saying he's going to get the job. I'm just told they have a lot of interest in him.
Right.
I would love to know how they found the guy. It's a pretty good find for them, but we'll see what happens. We know that as our first reported, Matt Burke 3 weeks ago, he's going to be the D-line coach. On Jeremiah Washburn, I'm told that if he wants a job, it's his.
The assistant D-line coach, right?
Right. Correct. Yes, it's not a done deal yet. Very well respected. And here's a little another nugget. There are people around the National Football League who thought that Burke was going to go with Corey Unlin as his linebackers coach. So that didn't happen, but the Eagles prevented that from happening by promoting him. So that's a good job by the Eagles there.
Yes, sir. All right. So look, by the time we do our next podcast, I think we'll drop Thursday morning. We may have some big news to wrap up all of the Eagles' moves. Hopefully they get this done pretty quickly. And because I know the fans, I feel like they've been driven crazy by this process. So for them, more than anything, the Eagles need to end the search and make the announcements. Yeah. And that's going to do it for this edition of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles intel. I want to thank all of our friends and affiliates, 97.3 ESPN. You can download their free mobile app at 973ESPN.com. Adam will probably go back to his normal schedule, come on with us Wednesday at 3 o'clock. I want to thank our friends at PHLSportsNation.com, enhancing the fan experience with their coverage of the Eagles, the Phillies, the Flyers, the Sixers, their podcast, their great comprehensive Philadelphia sports coverage, all at PHLSportsNation.com. Of course, we thank our producer, Hunter Brody, who gives the most passionate fan takes. I missed the one on the Sixers loss the other night in Boston, so I got to go check out his YouTube channel, Sports Talk with Broads, and check it out and see how many blood vessels he might have popped commenting on that game. And, of course, we thank all of our listeners. Without them, we are nobody. So we've enjoyed a really good offseason so far. Look forward to keeping everybody in tune with all the news. And so thank you for flying with us inside the bird. If you're listening to this, you obviously like podcasts, and you probably like music too. On Spotify, you can listen to all of that in one place for free. That's right, you don't need a premium account. On Spotify, you can follow your favorite podcast so you never miss an episode. You can download episodes to listen to offline wherever you are. You can easily share what you're listening to with your friends via Spotify's integrations with social media platforms like Instagram. Spotify has a huge catalog of podcasts on every topic, including the one you're listening to right now. Just search for Inside the Birds on the Spotify app or browse podcasts in the Your Library tab. And follow me, Geoff Mosher, so you never miss an episode of Inside the Birds. Spotify is the world's leading music streaming service, and now it can be your go-to for podcasts too.